Oh, say can you see, perhaps the most famous words ever written here in Baltimore, inspired by a gigantic flag that flew over Fort McHenry at the end of a battle that we weren't supposed to win.
Tonight, 2 centuries later, the 15 stars and 15 stripes will wave again, bombs will be bursting in air, and Baltimore will celebrate with a Star-Spangled Spectacular.
Live from the Four Seasons Hotel at Harbor East, here are your hosts, Mindy Becerra and Jason Newton.
200 years after the British bombardment of Fort McHenry, the tall ships, they've returned to Baltimore's harbor, along with them an army of more than 1 million visitors here to celebrate the bicentennial of the Star-Spangled Banner, a poem written by Francis Scott Key that will become our national anthem. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our Star-Spangled Spectacular special Baltimore Celebrates. I'm Jason Newton.
And I'm Mindy Becerra. Thank you for joining us tonight. Whether you're watching on Maryland Public Television or WBAL TV 11, you're in for a treat as we count down to what I'm told will be a fireworks show, the likes of which Baltimore has never seen. Jason, I'm not sure the word spectacular will do it justice.
No, not even close. Lucky us, we have some of the best seats in the house here on the pool deck of the Four Seasons Hotel on Harbor East, and what a beautiful view of the city we have right behind us. And in just a few hours, the skyline will be lit up with more than 98,000 pyrotechnic effects. You can just eat your heart out, Disney World. You got nothing on us tonight.
If you can't make it out here tonight, no worries. We have you covered. You'll be able to watch the fireworks on both Maryland Public TV and MeTV Baltimore. And our cameras are everywhere covering the action from all over the Inner Harbor and Fort McHenry. And tonight's festivities kick off with a star-studded concert right behind us at Pier 6 Concert Pavilion. Actor, musician, and author John Lithgow will serve as the master of ceremonies. Maryland Public TV's Yolanda Vasquez has a virtual backstage pass and got to sit in on all of the rehearsals, and she is live at Pier 6 tonight with a preview for us. Hi, Yolanda.
Hi, Mindy. Well, tonight promises to be a spectacular evening in every sense of the word. We're about T-minus 57 minutes and counting from the big show, with big names like Melissa Etheridge, Kenny Rogers, Jordan Sparks, Kristen Chenoweth, you name it, they're all here. And yesterday I had a chance to sit in on rehearsals to speak with these performers about this star-studded event, to ask them what it means to celebrate the 200th anniversary of the Star-Spangled Banner.
My country, 'tis of thee, sweet land of liberty.
And I think the big events like this are the ones that people will remember, and hopefully you have something good to say that can change somebody or make them feel something they didn't feel beforehand.
I mean, the Star-Spangled Banner is one of the most eloquent and sophisticated tunes ever written, and the lyrics are really compelling. They're moving, emotional, and what's wrong with celebrating that?
I think that as Americans, we should all be proud of this day, of this time, and I thank Francis Scott Key for writing the national anthem, and it's a proud moment in America.
I mean, there's a history and tradition that's so revered, and it's just such an honor to be part of this tradition. And so we're excited to perform tonight and, honor our country in that way.
And I also love our Star-Spangled Banner. I listen to those words, and I love what it means. And whenever I'm asked to sing it, though I'm not singing it on this particular program, I'm reminded of how proud I am to be an American. So I'm really happy to be here.
In addition to performers, there will also be presenters on stage. We're going to also have a chance to see from longtime third baseman Brooks Robinson, former pitcher of the Orioles Jim Palmer will be here. Everybody knows him as a commentator. Vice President Joe Biden is expected to make some remarks as well. And I had a little bit of a shock there coming out of my sound cues there, because some fireworks or some kind of loud sound went off to let you know that they really are getting ready to kick off the celebrations down here at Pier 6 Pavilion. And right behind me is one of the satellite stages for the big concert that is set to take place at 8 p.m. Folks started coming in around 6 o'clock, waving their flags, and they are having themselves a fantastic time. So that'll wrap it up here from Pier 6. Now back to you, Jason and Mindy.
All right, Yolanda, those candles will catch you off guard, won't they? Thank you for joining us. Speaking of some great performances, take a look at this. The U.S. Navy Blue Angels put on quite a show this afternoon as they return to Baltimore as part of the bicentennial celebration. WBAL-TV's Jennifer Franciati may never be the same after that. She took a flight with one of the Angels pilots earlier this week, and how cool was that? The Blue Angels, they'll fly again from 2 to 4 tomorrow with viewing areas at the Inner Harbor, Fort McHenry, the Canton Waterfront Park, MedStar Harbor Hospital, and the Port Covington Sam's Club Walmart.
Meanwhile, WBAL-TV's Megan Pringle is live at the Inner Harbor tonight talking with folks who watched the Blue Angels today as they await tonight's fireworks. Hi, Megan.
Hi there, guys. You know, you were talking about the Blue Angels, and that certainly seems to be a favorite for so many people out here, but it is hard to pick a favorite because the Inner Harbor is magnificent right now, like you've never seen it. There are crowds of people, and we are lined with all these wonderful tall ships. Right now, I'm standing on the Eagle, which is the largest ship, 290 feet in the harbor, and people are having a great time here. I think a lot of people are anxious to see the fireworks, but I'm standing here next to a family. You guys say that the best thing has been what?
What's the best thing? Big boats. A big boat.
The big boats, the Blue Angels. Now tell me why you came out here, Maggie.
We want to celebrate the Star Spangled Banner and share it with our children.
All right, and I think that's what a lot of this is about, celebrating the Star Spangled Banner. Of course, it's what it's about. And all the patriotism. I mean, honestly, I've never seen so much red, white, and blue, and it's been wonderful. Now, we did talk about the fireworks a little bit earlier, and that's going to be something that so many people are looking forward to. I've been told that there are 6 barges, 6 miles out into the water. And what's interesting about this is these fireworks tell a story. They say that it's going to kick off with something like we have never seen before, and I was told that it will knock your socks off. So it certainly seems like something that you won't want to miss. And we should also mention that these tall ships, the tours are free. You can come out here and stand on magnificent ships. Many are replicas, but some are just old wooden ships from the 1900s, and it's really a wonderful sight. And again, a free one. They will be open until Monday, and then these ships leave port on Tuesday. So Jason and Mindy, we're going to send it out back to you guys, but we'll be down here talking to people and celebrating our national anthem.
Thank you so much, Megan. So when do we get to see the bombs bursting in air? The answer is tonight, because all week long, the folks people call the First Family of Fireworks have been here in Baltimore setting up for the biggest fireworks display in this city's history.
Oh, and they are serious. The Grucci family out of Long Island, New York, has put on some impressive fireworks displays from Las Vegas to New York, Abu Dhabi as well, and they've been working on a star-spangled, crowd-pleasing show that they hope everyone will enjoy tonight.
The visual combined with the sound, combined with a little bit of that smell of smoke, and you could feel that pressure wave on your skin. What other medium has that type of power of being able to touch any one of those senses? The company began as an individual, which was my great-great-grandfather. In the late 1800s, my grandfather's uncle came through Ellis Island, like many other immigrants did, and my grandfather apprenticed under him, which was the 3rd generation. Way back, every Tuesday night, we used to shoot a fireworks show in Coney Island. I'd go with my grandfather and my dad and my uncle. I knew I wanted to be in this business full-time as a living, as a career, when I was 4 or 5 years old. Generally, the customer will come to us and they'll give us the theme or what the event is. The visualization of that is very similar to painting a picture. We've got about a little under 3,000 different varieties that you're using as your palette. Our canvas is a dark sky. We were asked through His Highness's office in Dubai, put your team together, let's break the world record. We just produced on New Year's Eve the world's largest fireworks performance. That was the world record. At the same time, we performed on the Burj Khalifa, which is the world's tallest building.
We wanted to illuminate the whole building. The only way to do that is to rappel down by rope and place the mounting brackets on the building itself with safety cable.
You just can't take large caliber shells and just throw them up willy-nilly. We use computer-aided programs like AutoCAD to calculate how far fireworks travel. You can't just do that with a pencil.
The Star Spangled Spectacular in Baltimore is going to be so lovely. Instead of the tallest building, we have the waterway from the Inner Harbor all the way down through to Fort McHenry.
The inspiration from a creative perspective, it all depends on what the event is. What's the celebration for? For the Star Spangled Banner's 200th anniversary, the inspiration was the song. Rockets' red glare, bombs bursting in air, twilight's last gleaming. All of those visions or those lyrics we can create in the sky with pyrotechnics. A 4-year-old and a 75-year-old react almost identically. They clap the same way. Their eyes are wide open and they're looking up into the sky, and there's something magical about that. And to be able to do that and create pleasure and create happiness for people, why would you choose anything else?
Well, if you're not excited now, I don't know what to tell you. It should be quite a show. The fireworks set to go off at about 9:30 again. You can watch them live over on Maryland Public Television and MeTV Baltimore.
All right, so we've seen the stars, Blue Angels, and the fireworks. How about all these beautiful ships that sailed into Baltimore this week?
Oh, beautiful ships. And I was an honorary Navy sailor for the day. More on my journey in just a moment.
Plus, take a step back in time as we take you on board one of the 16 tall ships calling Baltimore home this weekend. Stay with us. Our Star Spangled Spectacular Special returns in just a moment.
Funding for MPT's War of 1812 coverage of the Star Spangled Spectacular is made possible in part by a grant from the Maryland War of 1812 Bicentennial Commission and by
Show your pride in the American flag with Star Spangled Cash, the Maryland Lottery's red, white, and blue scratch-off with a top prize of $10,000. Hosts say, can you see yourself winning that? Pick up Star Spangled Cash and turn red, white, and blue into green.
I take a tremendous amount of pride that whenever I'm at events around the country and the Star Spangled Banner is sung, that I can always smile and know that that's a Maryland song, that this was a story that was written by the heroism and the courage and the actions of Marylanders at a very dark time in our country's history.
From 1812 to 1815, the United States of America engaged in its last armed conflict with England.
1814 is the year the Empire strikes back. They burn public Washington to the ground, the Capitol building, the White House, ruins.
But in the War of 1812, the actions were sometimes extremely violent. Men died, some of them horribly. And it's very difficult, even from this distance, to look back and think what that must have been like.
Why should Americans know anything about this guy, Francis Scott Key? He was just an attorney in Georgetown. Well, it turns out that he happened to be present at the bombardment of Fort McHenry, and he also happened to like to write lyrics to songs, and he also did some poetry. And out of all of that came our national anthem.
And welcome Myshio Miller, who will sing our national anthem.
When you hear our national anthem performed at a major sporting event, how close to Francis Scott Key's vision is that performance?
The Star Spangled Banner is supposed to have been based on a British drinking song.
This is member-supported Maryland Public Television.
Welcome back to Star Spangled Spectacular. Baltimore celebrates. It's time to talk about ships. Big and small, there are more than 30 of them in town for this weekend's festivities, all of which you can tour for free.
Can't be free.
No, and most of the Navy ships are too big to bring into the harbor. They are docked at North Locust Point.
Yeah, there's even a British Navy ship out there. You might want to keep a close eye on that one as it's parked this weekend. Now, Jennifer got to fly with the Blue Angels, but I got to fly in a chopper as my photographer Steve Adams and I headed out to the USS Oak Hill. She's an impressive 610-foot dock landing ship based out of Norfolk. A special shout out to the more than 400 officers and enlisted men and women on board who made us feel so welcome and right at home. You can hop right on board yourself on Monday from noon to 5.
That was very cool. I was very jealous
that was a lot of fun.
That you got to do that. There are 16 tall ships docked around the harbor open for tours, and 7 nations are represented, including Germany, Turkey, Norway, and Spain.
Yeah, one fascinating ship that really didn't have to travel very far is the Gazella. America's Cup winner and Annapolis native Gary Jobson takes us on board.
Welcome to Philadelphia, a city with a long maritime heritage.
Gazella is the goodwill ambassador for Philadelphia at seaport festivals. So we're an attraction vessel, an import attraction vessel. Gazella is part of Philadelphia Ship Preservation Guild, which is a nonprofit. So we're funded by donations, grants, we have an endowment. And we use that money both for the maintenance of Gazella as well as our tugboat Jupiter. We have volunteers in their teens. We also have volunteers in their 70s. We have father-son teams, father-daughter teams that come down to the ship.
One passionate young crew member displays how much she loves Gazella with her new tattoo.
It's a brand new vocabulary. Like, everything has its own very specific name. So that takes a lot of time to learn, and just to learn how to actually sail and, you know, how to set the sails to catch the wind a certain way and why you do that also takes time. So I've been with the boat maybe 5.5 years. I still don't know it all. I know a lot, but not all of it.
It's one of the most amazing things I've ever experienced. It's just, words cannot describe when you're at sea and they kill the engine and it's just quiet and you look up and see all that sail.
It's important to remember that Gazella was an actual workboat. For the sailors and fishermen, you can imagine it was hard work. But after 6 months, they returned home with 350 tons of salted cod.
They weren't beautiful, glamorous cruise liners. They were factories. The fish was taken aboard, it was cleaned, everything was done right up on deck.
What you see in the cargo hold is white because of the salt bleeding out of it from the years of fishing. The ship has almost 70 years of history of fishing on the Grand Banks, and this was the cargo hold area. In this cargo hold area, the fish that they caught were salted for preservation. And so you're seeing the salt bleeding out of the wood now, where it's dried out and where the salt is still coming out after 100 years, almost 100 years now. These two dories here are replicas, just like the dories the Portuguese had on board. The ship carried 30 to 35 of these when it was fishing, one for each man.
Gazella worked the Grand Banks from the late 1800s until 1969. In 1938, an engine was added, but she worked under sail most of the time.
The ones that really impress us are the men that went out fishing, didn't come back. We don't have very many logs. The logs we have always mention that there's somebody that didn't make it back.
This vessel is a lasting tribute to the sailors and fishermen who spent months at sea.
And Gary, she sure is beautiful. You can tour the Gazella and all of those tall ships tomorrow and Monday from noon to 5.
Up next, we're heading out to Fort McHenry, where Vice President Joe Biden will help raise a new Star-Spangled Banner in just a few hours.
And a spectacular display of red, white, and blue as more than 6,000 students from all over Maryland make history. Their living tribute to the original Star-Spangled Banner. That's next.
MPT celebrates the bicentennial of the War of 1812.
In competition with the Star-Spangled Banner through the 19th century was Hail Columbia, a set of patriotic words written in 1798 to a march that was originally composed for George Washington. As we go through the middle of the 19th century, probably the Star-Spangled Banner and Hail Columbia were the two most called for nationalistic tunes. When you hear our national anthem performed at a major sporting event, how close to Francis Scott Key's vision is that performance? We're used to hearing our national anthem beginning on what's called a descending arpeggio. It's a triad sung one note at a time from the top down. Oh, say can you. I mean, that's the definitive opening melodic material of our national anthem. But that's not how the song went back then. In fact, there are publications of the Star-Spangled Banner as late as 1910, only 100 years ago, where it still is starting, as it did in Key's day, at the bottom of this triad. Oh, say can you see, bum-ba-dum. That's an ornament. It was added, and it wasn't really even formalized, and it didn't become the only way to do it until less than a century ago.
It became popular to the point that the U.S. Army and the U.S. Navy typically used it in many of their ceremonies.
In fact, John Philip Sousa, who was for a time the leader of the United States Marine Band, Sousa had a lot to do with encouraging the performance of this piece, not just in America, but on his world tours and heightening people's awareness of this great tune.
This is member-supported Maryland Public Television.
September 13th, 1814, British warships launched a 24-hour assault on Baltimore, firing as many as 1,800 cannonballs and bombs at Fort McHenry. When guns went silent and the sun came up the next morning, it was the Stars and Stripes flying over the fort that inspired Francis Scott Key to write the Star-Spangled Banner, a poem that, when set to music, would become our national anthem. 200 years later, there will be bombs bursting in air over Fort McHenry again tonight, though these will be in celebration.
President Obama visited Fort McHenry yesterday, and Vice President Joe Biden will be among the dignitaries taking in the fireworks at the fort tonight. MPT's Jeff Salkin is live there tonight. Jeff, what an amazing place to be on this 200th anniversary.
Mindy and Jason, it certainly is. When you think about it, 200 years ago, at this very moment, this land was being bombarded by the British Royal Navy. Well, fast forward 200 years, and the only onslaught here tonight is the thousands of patriotic Americans who have come to participate in this Star-Spangled Spectacular. And what they're here for tonight is a concert. We're seeing the introductory remarks right now. The Marine Corps Band will perform. Jordan Sparks will sing the national anthem, and we'll hear remarks here from Governor O'Malley and Vice President Joe Biden. President Obama was here yesterday, received a personal tour of the fort. He also was able to see some of the original artifacts of what happened here. The original manuscript from Francis Scott Key of his lyrics that, of course, became our national anthem. For the dignitaries, getting into Fort McHenry, of course, is no problem. For the rest of us, it's a little bit of a trip tonight. The water taxi is done running for the evening. Part of Fort Avenue is closed off, so it's a pretty good walk for anybody trying to come down here. There's still plenty of space, and this may be the best spot to see the fireworks tonight. Just off the tip of Fort McHenry is the barge from which the Grucci family is going to launch an American flag. Phil Grucci described for us how it works. Individual shells, each representing a pixel on that flag, are timed, and they have a device on board to set them off at the exact altitude. It's going to be quite a show, and everybody here is looking forward to seeing it. Back to you, Jason and Mindy.
All right, thank you, Jeff. Fort McHenry, of course, a popular field trip destination for kids of all ages.
And earlier this week, more than 6,000 students representing every county in Maryland gathered at the fort to make history. WBAL-TV's Rob Roblin was there.
You could tell by the number of buses that this was going to involve a lot of people. The goal was to get 6,600 students here to form a human flag.
So we're dealing with the red, white, and blue and what that represents, but also young people today have a sense for what is important from the standpoint of the history of our country.
This defines the word epic. It's history making, and it's something these kids will remember the rest of their lives.
They did something similar 100 years ago in 1914. 100-year-old Myrtle Sanders was here for that.
You were 1 month old.
1 month old.
And your mother brought you here.
My mother brought me here.
So the students started lining up.
Walk all the way up to those guys right there.
There were red, white, and blue ponchos representing the colors of our flag.
So your students, what are they getting out of this?
Well, they get to be right here where the history happened, and anytime they get a chance to be where it actually happened, it's going to make a deeper impact on them as opposed to just reading it from a book or seeing it in a video. They're living history right now and being a part of something that's happened.
I'm kind of nervous and excited because this is really important to our state. I think it's a good event. It shows that we stayed free from Britain even when it was at the worst and the flag was still there.
I want you to use your left hand
and put it on the person's shoulder next to you.
Bob DeLeese from the American Flag Foundation is the guy who got everything organized.
So if you can instill a little bit of patriotism and pride in a child without sending them off to war, I think we win. So that's why we do this.
So after turning this way, then that way, then this way again, then waving, it was done. A living American flag, just like the one that flew over Fort McHenry 200 years ago. Rob Roblin, WBAL-TV, 11 News.
I just love that. I thought it was
always
so cool.
looks like so much fun.
6,600 boys and girls. Kind of makes you wonder how many bathrooms they must have at Fort McHenry.
As a parent, you have to wonder about these things. That's one field trip those kids, though, will never forget, I'm sure. Well, stay with us. Our Star Spangled Spectacular Special, Baltimore Celebrates, continues.
MPT celebrates the bicentennial of the War of 1812.
In 1918, Maryland Congressman John Charles Linthicum received a one-sentence letter from the Maryland Daughters of 1812.
Mrs. Holloway was a go-getter. When she believed in a cause, she went with it, not just Star Spangled Banner, but anything. And she was going to make Star Spangled Banner because of Baltimore. She was a homer like me. That was going to be our national anthem. There was no two ways about it, and she got the job done.
In this letter, they pointed out that Francis Scott Key was from Maryland. They pointed out that the defense of Fort McHenry, later known as the Star Spangled Banner, took place in Maryland.
And so there was a resolution put before Congress, and it failed.
In 1929, Linthicum's bill for the anthem finally made it to the floor of Congress.
So this debate began, and there were a lot of people who believed that it should not be the Star Spangled Banner because, number one, it's very difficult to sing.
It's a hard song to sing because of the tremendous range.
Number two, it's a song about a war.
Is it belligerent? Yes, a little bit. But so is nation building, so is defending a nation.
There were other people who believed that because this was a drinking song, and we know, of course, that that's not technically true, it was a gentleman's club song, but why would we want to promote a song that is supposedly based on drinking? There were just many, many different opinions.
On March 3, 1931, President Herbert Hoover signed the law adopting the Star Spangled Banner as the national anthem of the United States.
This is member-supported Maryland Public Television.
And for those of you watching us on WBAL-TV 11, we're about to turn things over to NBC Sports. If you'd like to continue watching our Star Spangled Spectacular Special, flip over to Maryland Public Television right now.
If you're already watching us on MPT, don't go anywhere. Our coverage continues in just a moment. Stay with us.
Oh, say, can you see?
By the dawn's early light, what so proudly we hailed.
At the twilight's last gleaming,
whose broad stripes and bright stars,
through the perilous fight,
o'er the ramparts we watched,
were so gallantly streaming,
and the rocket's red glare,
the bombs bursting in air,
gave proof through the night
that our flag was still there.
Say, does that Star Spangled Banner yet wave?
For the land
of the free
and the home of the brave.
It's a celebration 200 years in the making, 66 live concerts, 36 ships from 7 different countries, 2 air shows featuring the U.S. Navy Blue Angels, and 1 fireworks spectacular that's now just 2 hours away. And as we get closer to those fireworks, Mindy, really starting to get excited here. I want to know what 98,000 pieces of fireworks or pyrotechnic effects will look like and sound like. It is not to be missed.
I can't imagine, but we're going to find out. Baltimore City puts on quite a fireworks show every year on New Year's Eve and the 4th of July, of course, but I've been told what we're going to see tonight will make those fireworks look like children playing with their sparklers in the backyard.
They'll be jealous. We'll find out soon what that'll look like, and you'll be able to see the entire fireworks presentation right here on Maryland Public Television as part of the Great Performances series set to get underway in about a half hour.
The 2-hour concert will feature the Baltimore Symphony Orchestra along with big names including John Lithgow, Kristen Chenoweth, and Smokey Robinson.
MPT's Yolanda Vasquez live outside the Pier 6 Concert Pavilion right now. Her assignment, and it's a tough one, rubbing elbows with the big stars here in Baltimore, helping us to celebrate. Yolanda really stretching out here. Tough assignment.
I had a really good time talking to the stars, Jason. I got to tell you, it's a sold-out concert here at Pier 6 Pavilion for the Star Spangled Spectacular. I am standing here in the lawn area, which is normally overtaken by concert goers, but tonight there's a satellite stage that they set up. We're going to tell you in just a few seconds who will take to that stage, but let's take a preview of what's in store for tonight's show.
My country, 'tis of thee, sweet land of liberty.
A patriotic song from Pentatonics sets the stage for the concert event of the year.
In 2 hours, we're going to entertain, but we're also going to tell the story of a very important event that took place here in Baltimore 200 years ago, exactly to the day.
And with performances from big names like Melissa Etheridge, Jordan Sparks, and Little Big Town, the Star Spangled Spectacular promises to pay tribute to America's favorite songs.
And I think the big events like this are the ones that people will remember, and hopefully you have something good to say that can change somebody or make them feel something they didn't feel beforehand.
BSO Music Director Maren Alsop is thrilled to work with a roster of great artists. She says performing these musical masterpieces never gets old.
I mean, the Star Spangled Banner is one of the most eloquent and sophisticated tunes ever written, and the lyrics are really compelling, they're moving, emotional, and what's wrong with celebrating that?
Brazilian-born opera singer Paolo Schatz is honored to be a part of the program, especially since he'll become a naturalized citizen in just a few days.
It's very important for me to be and to work where people appreciate your work and you are welcomed. And America is this place for me.
Schatz will share the stage with Emmy and Tony Award-winning actress Kristen Chenoweth, who says she doesn't take the lyrics to our national anthem lightly.
And I also love our Star Spangled Banner. I listen to those words and I love what it means. And whenever I'm asked to sing it, though I'm not singing it on this particular program, I'm reminded of how proud I am to be an American.
This is a great occasion, and I think that as Americans we should all be proud of this day, of this time. And I thank Francis Scott Key for writing the national anthem, and it's a proud moment in America.
Oh my gosh, we were so excited to get this opportunity, and we're so intimidated and thrilled to be sharing the stage with such big names. It's going to be a really, really cool event.
In addition to the main stage, there's also a second satellite stage out here on the lawn. This is where the Grammy Award-winning rock band Train will open the show in front of hundreds of concert goers. Pier 6 Pavilion is the perfect setting for this musical event and the singers who can't wait to show their love of America.
Let freedom
That's Pentatonics right there, and they are fantastic. They're a 5-person a cappella group out of Arlington, Texas, and they are going to rock the house. Every concert goer is going to be given a flag when they come into the show tonight that they can wave, because obviously we're taping this for tonight's show and airing it live. But I've got to tell you, when speaking with the performers yesterday, Jason and Mindy, really got a kick out of Smokey Robinson. He gave me a nice little hug, says he loves coming to Baltimore. It's kind of like his second home. He's been performing at the Royal Theater since he was knee-high to a grasshopper. And Kristen Chenoweth loves Baltimore, had a concert here 2 years ago, and said everybody here is fantastic. So we're gearing up for the big show in just a few minutes.
Can't wait to see it. Yolanda, thank you so much. And that is a Yolanda, thank you so much. A fantastic assignment. Very jealous. Should be a great concert. And we have great seats.
We have wonderful
That's Pier
seats.
6
Yeah,
right
we can see
behind
Pier
us.
6 right behind us. And we can also see a phenomenon that usually happens when it snows in Baltimore. You
Right.
know, you put your seats out so you have a place to park.
That's right, your chairs.
Well, you got the seats out now. People already lining up at Fort McHenry, the Inner Harbor, all picking out that very perfect spot to watch tonight's fireworks. And I'm partial to our viewing spot. I had no idea that, one, this area was so nice, but even that it was here.
Right. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
You
Four
know, we can
seasons,
see
feels like good.
everything. We are not complaining.
No, not at all.
WBAL TV's Megan Pringle will be taking in the fireworks with tens of thousands of her best friends.
Just a few.
At the Inner Harbor. Megan, I'd imagine everyone pretty excited out there?
Everyone is very excited, Mindy, not just about the fireworks, but really just celebrating something positive. You know, here in the Inner Harbor, we're not far from M&T Bank Stadium. We're not far from Camden Yards, where we're used to seeing civic pride, but now we're celebrating national pride, and that's a great thing. So we're talking to people, we're seeing how it's going. Have you ever been to a 200th birthday party?
I was here 2 years ago, and it was awesome, but this is even more terrific. There's more people here, more boats. The fireworks are going to be bigger. It's great.
What do you think it is? What is all the excitement about?
I think the excitement is about coming into town, being part of the celebration, the Star Spangled Banner in the fort, which is so iconic, and it's a great way to celebrate the city.
Absolutely. Where are you going to watch the fireworks?
I'm going to watch them from my rooftop deck.
All right, lucky you. We'll enjoy. I won't keep you. And that's what a lot of people are saying. I've had some people come up and say, where do I get the best seat for fireworks? I don't think there's going to be a bad seat anywhere, because we're talking about 6 miles out into the water, 6 barges, 98,000 shells for the fireworks. I have no idea what 98,000 shells means, but it's a lot. Hey, how are you guys? Are you excited?
Yes.
Yes. What are you excited about?
The fireworks.
That seems to be the thing that everyone's talking about tonight.
People, I've been to this harbor for many, many times, and it's the first time I see so many people.
So many people, and so many people happy, right?
Yes, everybody's smiling, everybody's saying, come on over, everybody's taking pictures, everybody's just excited about everything. I don't know, the fireworks are what, till 8 o'clock, 10 o'clock?
They're coming up. All right. Exactly. Now, I think one of the things that people have been wondering about the fireworks, as we were talking earlier, is when that's going to happen. Well, we're also going to broadcast it, so you'll want to stick here and stay with us. And, you know, one of the things the woman that I was just talking to said is the people, and that's definitely one of the atmospheric things about this place right now. The people. Everyone's pretty happy. Everyone's pretty excited, which is impressive considering the weather today. It wasn't all that great. Did you guys get caught in the rain today?
Yeah, a little bit.
Big time.
Almost lost my hat.
You almost let your hat. Well, I can see how it looks like it's cardboard, so that would be a disaster. But you wanted to be out here, right?
Absolutely.
Why is that?
Well, I mean, it's Baltimore. It's beautiful. And the ships, I love tall ships. And we were here for the game, too.
All right. Well, thanks for stopping by and talking with us. The tall ships are going to be out here, by the way, we should mention, until Monday. So you can come out here and tour them for free. And then they are going to leave one at a time on Tuesday. A fantastic sight, Jason and Mindy. The Eagle is here. It's the largest ship in the harbor right now. And not too long ago, they took the flag down. And one really cool thing was watching people stop. And it was very quiet and respectful as they took down the flag. So it's great out here. Everyone's happy. Everybody's having fun. We'll stay out here and continue the fun, but in the meantime, I'm going to send it back to you guys.
Yeah, we were a little worried about the rain earlier, but it cleared up so beautifully, and it is a gorgeous night out here, just gorgeous.
Sure, there was a dark cloud hanging over us,
I
and
know,
then it opened up.
We're a little concerned.
Here's a bit of sunshine coming our way right now. I believe this is the official drink. This is Trevor. Trevor's been taking care of us here at the Four Seasons. This is the Star Spangled Banner. Hold on, Trevor, don't leave now. Come on back. Tell us what's in there.
What is this? Looks good.
Okay, yeah, this is blue curacao with watermelon vodka, fresh lemonade, garnished with frozen watermelons.
Okay. We will find 2 worthy people to drink this.
Yeah, are we allowed to sip this? Where's my boss? He's over here. He says yes.
Yes, he says.
Okay, well, I'm going to give it a try.
We're trying. All right, we'll go ahead and try. We'll give you our...
Oh, that's good. That is delicious.
Yeah, that's good. That's worthy.
It doesn't get any better than this, Jason. I'm serious. All right, well, the U.S. Navy is back in town, docking some of their finest vessels, several ships for tours over at North Locust Point.
Yeah, but behind us over there at Pier 5, mixed in with all the tall ships around the harbor, is one standout ship that's been called the future of high-speed naval transportation. MPT's Roger Mecca has stepped aboard this unique ship to see why there was such a need for speed.
It's a trip back in time. Tall ships from around the world on display in Baltimore's Inner Harbor, giving us a glimpse of what life was like on the open sea hundreds of years ago. But amid these floating maritime museums, you'll find one vessel that looks like it's not been pulled from the history books, but from the pages of science fiction.
It almost looked like a cross between a Star Wars spaceship and airplane and a ship.
Captain Delfaus commands the 338-foot-long USNS Choctaw County, the U.S. Navy's latest and most technological way to sail across the world's oceans. The twin-hull catamaran design allows it to get close to shore in depths as low as 23 feet, travel up to 50 miles per hour, while also being highly maneuverable. All of this adds up to a 48,000 horsepower vessel that can transport 600 tons of cargo or 312 troops to coastal areas faster than any other ship in the fleet.
When you go overseas in the Mediterranean and in the West Pacific, you see this type of vessel everywhere. They use them for high-speed transport across waterways. In the United States, you don't see too many of them. You see maybe smaller versions in New York City. It's a strange configuration.
This ladder behind me and the hull of the Choctaw County share a lot in common. Mainly, they're both made of aluminum. And the reason why? Because of weight. And if the ship looks a little bare, that too is because of weight. Think about how heavy a can of paint is, and then multiply that by a few thousand gallons. And on this ship, being light means being fast.
The first question most times is, how come the ship's not painted like all the other ships? Every time I come on board, it's like getting on board an aircraft on the water.
Lieutenant Lamine says there are currently 3 of these Spearhead-class vessels now in service, with another coming by the end of 2014. While their ability to deliver wartime cargo and personnel is impressive, the Choctaw County's huge cargo load and speed make it ideal for humanitarian aid around the world.
A lot of times, trying to respond to the humanitarian disasters, the key is time, and this class of vessel certainly helps with that component.
Given the incredible capabilities of the Choctaw County, we can expect to see combat ships of war outfitted with this unique design in the future, but they'll likely be made out of something other than aluminum.
You're looking at aluminum, so aluminum doesn't do very well with a bullet.
There was a time that those tall ships we see in the Inner Harbor were the height of technology and design. If this is the height of innovation today, imagine what the future will bring. I'm Roger Mecca aboard the USNS Choctaw County.
Well, maybe you wouldn't exactly expect gourmet food on board a Navy ship, but maybe you should. Yesterday there was a sailor showdown in Baltimore to see who could claim bragging rights in their kitchen. 8 different kitchen staff from crews around the world competed in a major cook-off. Each team was given a basket with Maryland food and locally grown produce, given 1 hour to see what they could create. Among the dishes created, grilled goat kebabs and rockfish ceviche. It was very close, very close. Megan Pringle was one of the judges, by the way.
Yeah?
But the team from Turkey will head home on their ship with a prize cutting board and bragging rights.
I'll tell you who always has bragging rights within the Inner Harbor, and that's the Pride of Baltimore, too.
Oh, yeah.
Always the ship to see here, and straight out of Baltimore. Doesn't get any more Baltimore than that. Take a look. We have a look at Pride of Baltimore, too, with the sails up right now. You can see some of the shadows bouncing off the sails as they've been making their way through the harbor much of the last few days. When we were out on the Oak Hill, we saw them. It's just beautiful.
Just magnificent. You just want to stare at it. It looks like a painting. It's so gorgeous.
Right. That makes you prideful of Baltimore.
Absolutely. And many of you have enjoyed the historical reenactments that have been taking place in Maryland the past few years regarding the War of 1812, and the people behind them do their best to portray life as it was 200 years ago.
And some of the tall ship's sailors in town are continuing that tradition, and are amateur historians themselves. Gary Jobson went aboard the clipper ship Lynx to find out why they go the extra nautical mile for their visitors.
Holloway Joe, and then I dated a mean girl, and she damn near drove me crazy. Way Holloway Joe. Last chorus. Way Holloway together.
I grew up with folk music. Peter, Paul, and Mary was a huge thing for us. Also, the Clancy Brothers were really big when we were growing up as well. And so doing maritime music and sea shanties is something I've been hearing for a long time.
Don't let them bury me here. I'll be buried in England. And they died. The first mate was a problem because it's good 9-10 weeks from there to England.
When I'm not telling stories or doing history or firing guns, I'm reading. I'm one of the more rabid historians on this vessel, so I love immersing myself in that world. coming in from nowhere, looking at this ship, and you watch a historical ship, and you see someone wearing a t-shirt, that's a certain experience. But if you go on board and everyone's wearing the clothing that looks like that time period, you are now then, it's so easy to jump across to the War of 1812. Your imagination runs crazy, and you can get involved in the legacy. I think it's a touchstone. I love wearing the costumes.
Dropping Nelson blood wouldn't do us any harm. Dropping Nelson blood wouldn't do us any harm. Dropping Nelson blood wouldn't do us any harm. And we'll all hang on behind. We'll row the old chariot along. We'll row the old chariot along. We'll row the old chariot along. And we'll all hang on behind.
And you can tour the links and all of the tall ships that are docked at the Inner Harbor for free. And the ships will be open for tours tomorrow and Monday from noon until 5, so you still have a chance.
Sure. And we want to check back on the festivities happening over at Fort McHenry.
MPT's Jeff Salkin is there. Any sighting of the Vice President yet, Jeff?
Well, Mindy and Jason, not the Vice President, but we just saw the Marine Corps band, the President's Own, march by, and they'll be participating in the program on the stage here, leading up to Jordan Sparks singing the national anthem. A couple of minutes ago, Mindy, you remarked about how the weather has cleared so perfectly tonight. I was chatting about that with Vince Vase. Vince, come on in. Vince, if you don't know, is the chief of interpretation here at Fort McHenry for the National Park Service. And we were talking about the weather 200 years ago. And it was a day like today.
That's right. You can read the British logbooks that have survived, and they talk about the rain that was pouring down during the morning of the 13th. So today was just like it was. There's artists' watercolors. You can see the clouds and the rain, but then the rain cleared off toward the night, and that's why you can say the twilight's.
Okay. And while most of the activity taking place right on the water's edge this week, there's still plenty of activities and displays just a few blocks away.
Yeah, in conjunction with the 200th anniversary of the Star Spangled Banner, the Reginald F. Lewis Museum has an exhibition that was awarded Best Historical Exhibition in 2014 by Baltimore Magazine, and a must-see museum exhibit from USA Today.
MPT's Yolanda Vasquez has more on that for us now. Hi, Yolanda.
Hey, Mindy, that's right. And the Reginald F. Lewis Museum is just a stone's throw away from where I'm located right here at the Pier 6 Pavilion. And that exhibit that you were talking about, it features flag art and photography with an interesting twist on the national anthem, and something Francis Scott Key would probably have never imagined. From a beatbox artist to a fine art photographer, there are plenty of patriotic pieces on display at the For Whom It Stands exhibit at the Reginald F. Lewis Museum.
The concept behind the exhibition is to explore how the United States flag was used over time by a diverse group.
One that includes artists, activists, Native Americans, anyone impacted by the history of our American flag.
There are many stories, many ideas, many interpretations.
Associate Curator Asantwa Boachewa says there are over 100 objects in the show. Rare pieces include this African-American World War I tunic and helmet.
It's a hand-painted soldier's helmet, which is something you don't see too often.
Many of the images point to bright and memorable moments. Others illustrate a deeper, darker time. This piece by Flo Oi Wong with a rice sack sewn into a U.S. flag highlights the struggle Chinese Americans endured at Angel Island.
It's an art piece, obviously, but it's capturing a part of our history that we have not explored or remembered as much as we should.
Local musician Shodake hopes to do the same with his Star Spangled Banner video exhibit. He picked 15 different variations of the song, focusing on a culturally diverse perspective. Popular ones include Marvin Gaye and Whitney Houston, but also lesser-known versions like this one from Baltimore's own Ethel Ennis.
By the dawn's early light.
Ennis sang it a cappella in 1973 for President Richard Nixon's inauguration.
She wanted to sort of depoliticize her presentation of the anthem and personalize it as well.
And in their companion exhibit at the Star Spangled Banner House, more artwork on hand. This quilt by local artist Joan Gaither encapsulates her life growing up in the 1960s. While we wouldn't do it today, it was customary back in the 19th century to cut away small pieces of the flag and give it away as gifts and souvenirs. In fact, that's how this small red sample from the Star-Spangled Banner flag came to be. Made of imported English wool, it also tells the story of Grace Wisher, a 13-year-old African-American indentured servant.
We know that her role would have been to assist with the sewing of the Star-Spangled Banner flag.
More than 200 years later, this American symbol of freedom still evokes many emotions, whether it's being held like an infant or carried like a burden. It's a piece of livable history that reminds us all of who we are. And Shodake, that beatbox artist that I just featured in that package, will have a performance tomorrow at 5:30 p.m. at the Reginald F. Lewis Museum. And if you're interested in checking out for whom it stands, it will be at the museum through February of 2015. And Jason and Mindy, got to let you know that Train is taking the stage right behind me, the rock band Train. So they are getting ready for the 8 o'clock performance that's kicking off in just a few minutes. I know a few folks down here, so if you want to come on down, I can get you some seats. I can work it out for you. Back to you guys.
Friends in high places,
Right.
Yolanda, thank you.
We're going to head back out to Jeff Salkin at Fort McHenry and see what's going on there. Hi, Jeff.
How are you making out?
Mindy, we were just talking to Ranger Vince Vase of the National Park Service about his time with the Commander-in-Chief. What did you tell the President about what happened here 200 years ago?
I described the battle, and we talked about the document, the original manuscript that was loaned to us for this event by the Maryland Historical Society, and I said that document is fragile, just like our democracy was fragile, but winning this battle helped end the War of 1812 and stabilized our democracy.
Now, for anybody watching who thinks that by not being here tonight they've missed something, this isn't over. Tomorrow morning, 8:40 a.m., what's happening?
That's right, the Dawn's early light ceremony. The gates open at 7, so you can get here bright and early. The ceremony starts, you're right, at 8:30, and historically, the Star-Spangled Banner flag was hoisted at 9 o'clock in 1814, so we're going to hoist the replica Star-Spangled Banner flag 200 years to the minute.
And this is it's a free event.
It is.
You just come down Ford Avenue. The water taxi may be running for that tomorrow. Charm City Circulator gets here. What's your best advice?
I would say come through the circulator, the shuttle. They're running it early that day. But this is something you don't want to miss. It's a once-in-a-lifetime event to help hoist the Star-Spangled Banner flag 200 years to the minute. General Colin Powell will be here by dawn's early light. The Fort McHenry Guard fifes and drums will play Yankee Doodle just like they did 200 years ago. The President Salute Battery from Fort Myer, Virginia, the Army Old Guard will fire a 21-gun salute. It's going to the Pride of Baltimore, too, will sail in.
Not to be missed. Ranger Vince, thanks for your time. We appreciate it. Jason and Mindy, back to you.
All right, Jeff, thanks. Replicas of the flag that flew over Fort McHenry during the War of 1812 are all over Baltimore. And, of course, the American flag is the central theme to all of this celebrated.
You may have one flying at your home. I do, your school or your office. But did you ever wonder who decided what the American flag should look like, what shape it should be and what it should be made of?
Well, for a different perspective on this subject than you may have seen before, here's animator Mitch Butler.
The American flag inspired our anthem, the Star-Spangled Banner, but it has also inspired countless Americans in surprising ways. It has been a flexible symbol, changing with the times. There were once hundreds of creative American flag designs, and all of them were considered American flags. Before the sewing machine, everyone handcrafted their flag a little differently. There were only rough guidelines, a certain number of stars, but a star could be any size and have any number of points. A certain number of stripes were expected, but not in any prescribed layout. In 1912, William Howard Taft standardized the design a bit, and our more familiar flag began to take shape. But importantly, these guidelines were not a law as such, and Americans could still make American flags as they saw fit. A ship's flag could be wool, and a military flag silk. The flag made by Mary Pinkerskill that inspired the Star-Spangled Banner, it stood over Fort McHenry during the Battle of Baltimore and was made of wool and cotton. Since the Civil War, more and more flags were made of cotton. Later, laboratories made synthetic fabrics like rayon. The flags that still stand on the moon are made of nylon. But the most expensive American flag isn't made of any high-tech materials. It's a ratty old thing from the Revolutionary War, recently sold at auction for a reported $12.6 million. And no, it doesn't look like today's US flag because it's one of those many early different designs. When it comes to the flag, America still doesn't really have strict laws. That's a good thing, because experts say that strict laws about national flags go hand in hand with totalitarian regimes like Stalinist Russia or Nazi Germany. But here, if you feel that you want to burn the American flag in protest, you can. The Supreme Court says so. Our flag doesn't belong to the government, it belongs to the people. It has inspired more than the Star-Spangled Banner, because while this flag has brought us together, it has also been fertile ground for the individual expression of Americans.
And it's time now to turn things over to John Lithgow and Maryland Public Television's Great Performances team. We certainly thank you all for joining us tonight.
We leave you with a beautiful performance of our national anthem by the U.S. Naval Academy Glee Club. Enjoy the concert and the fireworks, everyone, and have a great night.